We're going to get in today how to create your at-home perfect cold plunge routine, even if you don't have a cold plunge. So hopefully everyone walks out of here with some new level of information, something they can incorporate into their life. So like I mentioned earlier, my name is Ryan Duey. I'm co-founder at Plunge, the founder of Capital Floats. Plunge is a unique story. We launched this company, quick background on it, about 19 months ago. And it was kind of a story out of COVID. Mike Garrett, my co-founder, and I, he owns Reboot Float and Cryo Spa. So we both own these businesses. COVID happened. We had to shut them down in California. What this did, it gave us some time, and it kind of led into him and I. We've been super into this, super passionate about this. And this is a picture of how it all started. That's Mike under there building one of our first prototypes out of the garage. This was something we were super into. And, here we are about 19 months later from this moment in the garage. And this is look into one of the parts of our current facility and where we build them, assemble them, and ship them out all over the world. And it's been a hell of a ride. We've had a lot of fun building this community, making connections with, just people here I'm talking to in the chat, all of our different customers. This is some of our more, high profile customers that we have with Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Andrew Huberman, Tony Hawk. But it's been, as you can imagine, people that are willing to get in cold water consistently and want to do it are really, I just find, special humans. And so that's been one of the coolest parts, is the community that we've built. So to kick things off, we're going to go through 3 cold plunging myths and then the truth of those. So myth number 1, cold plunging is for injury recovery only. Truth is for a bunch of different things. We've kind of the history of this. It's been, especially in our, I would say, like US culture, it's been for athletes. You do it, you kind of get in, you suffer. It's just for a post game recovery, injury recovery that we get in. And what we're seeing is there is such a larger, vast number of benefits. And obviously different cultures have had this and kind of been on the in of what these are. And it's a laundry list of them. And we're actually discovering a lot more as more research is being done into this space. But, for me, some of my favorites that are there is the boost in energy and the elevated mood. It's the first thing that I do every single morning. I feel like I'm time traveling. I get in, I kind of wake up, for me, naturally a little groggy. I hop in there. I'm so much more clear in the things that I want to get started with in the morning. And then the big one underlying everything is the nervous system regulation. So cold plunging is an environment that's really going to stress our bodies out. And that's the point of it. We want to get in, we want to stress it out, but then we learn how to breathe and manage that stress in that environment. Cold plunging eventually gets easier. Truth is, got to break it to you, it doesn't get easier. Your resiliency strengthens. And that, yesterday morning was a prime example for this. I did not want to get in. I did not want to do it. I did the pre-plunge dance and just had every excuse in the book, but I got in. And that's what we're noticing with this. And that's the beauty of this, is that it still stays hard. And you might need to adjust the time and temp, and we'll get into some of those things. But it's really, you start to build this new relationship to how we interface with stress and how we learn to manage it. And that's where resiliency starts to come in. And it's a beautiful paradox, and it doesn't get easier. And that's the point. It stays consistently hard. It's like going to the gym. Again, you go to the gym and you find new weights, new exercises to do that are challenging your body. That's what cold plunging is. You're consistently stressing that nervous system out. The cool thing about it, and this is a quote from one of our customers here, is I've yet to find something on the ROI that we can bake into our life. And what I mean by that is 3 to 5 minutes. So this person's a yogi, a climber, backpacker, all great tools, all highly encourage them. They also take a lot of time. So as you're building a routine, something that you really have as momentum for yourself is it's not a lot of time you need to commit to this to get a vast benefit, especially if you're doing it consistently. So again, it's a challenging thing and it's hard, but it's not much time that we have to put in to get huge returns on this. Myth number 3, cold showers provide the same benefits as full submersion. Truth is, without full submersion, you'll get some benefits, but not all. I love cold showers. We're going to dive into cold showers. That is probably the best entry point for everyone. But just to kind of get it out of the way right here, Cold showers, we're kind of at the mercy of where we live. We don't know, it's a seasonality depending on, your Arizona to New Jersey. That's going to be a very different temperature control coming out. Summer to winter, we don't know the exact temperature, and you're not fully submerged in the water. So you're not getting that full submersion of ultimately lowering that core body temperature. But this is the best place to start if you're just starting out here. And it's challenging. Showers are not easy. It's you don't naturally build that thermal layer around your body. So it is a great spot to get started, feel that mood elevation, that energy enhancement, and just kind of building the routine of, man, this sucks, but I do feel better after 3 to 5 minutes. So 6 steps that we've come up with to help build this consistency in your life. And step number 1 is commit to 30 days. We're in the midst at Plunge of a 30-day plunge challenge that we're doing. And 30 days is kind of an arbitrary number. It's more of find a set period of time, whether it's 21, 24 days. There's studies out there that habits get formed after that time, but find a time period that you're willing to commit to. And I recommend put it out in the world, share it with your partner, share it on social media, be accountable to that. Find someone that you want to do this with. So commit to a time. That's up to you of what that time period is. We chose 30 days. Then find an actionable, repeatable option for yourself. So again, I like in the gym, I always compare it to the gym. If you're just getting back in to go into the gym, you're not going to do a 3-hour CrossFit workout your first day back. And that's the same thing here. Find something that is actually, you can almost laugh at. That's like, I can do that. And then you're going to build consistency off of that. So just like a gym, you can't, with a gym, you can't go once a month to expect these results that we're wanting and the benefits that we've talked about earlier. And that, there's nothing wrong with doing it once. You will feel great if you hop in once, and that's what it is. But the things we're talking about here is consistency and a practice that gets developed here. This has been something I've done every single, take that back. I've traveled a couple days that I have not been able to get into cold water, but pretty much every single day for the last 18 months, I've been doing this. Huge, huge benefits in my life. So finding ways that we can make this consistent. So again, we want to find a time period and some actionable time period that you're getting into the water. Step 2, establish a rhythm. What I like to do is set this the day prior. So, it can be as organized as putting it into your calendar. I find, again, going to the gym, if I'm the next day, like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm not clear on what time I'm going to work the gym in, there's a 50-50 chance that I might not go to the gym. Plunging is that exact same way for me. The beautiful part is it's short, but hacking your schedule that you can fit this in. So showers are that entry point. Pretty much all of us are going to take showers every single day. So finding when that is, or maybe you live right next to a river and on your commute, that's something you can get into. Find the time that's kind of already in your schedule and just showing it up and rinse and repeat. So you don't have to wonder when you're going to get in, but it's just set. And that's what we're trying to build here is the habit, especially those first week to 2 weeks of this. It's going to be challenging. And that's part of the process of how easy can we make this into our already existing lifestyle. So here, this is Rich Froning. Bring him up. He's one of our partners with it. He's, arguably the fittest man on the planet, CrossFit champion. And he talks about with us he's a very regiment lifestyle, and he has to, but he has the plunge built into his set times. He works out multiple times a day. So he has his plunge. I believe it's after his second workout every single day. It's clear. And then he does it before bed. And that's for him. That's clear, concise. He gets huge, huge benefits from his sleep, which are massive for his recovery. So just finding how you can work it in consistently into your day. Choose when and where you'll cold plunge. So to reiterate, on mornings, I like to get it done first thing in the day. The more I think about it, the more things that happen throughout the day, it's more challenging for me. But it's kind of for you to discover of when and where are those times that you can work this in. Step 3, find your ideal temperature. So this is a massive one that we see, especially when people starting out, more specifically with a plunge, like an actual at-home unit where you have the set temperature. But we recommend people starting 50 to 60 degrees. It's even most ice baths you see that people are in, they're in the 50-degree range. You got to understand that's tap water coming out that's 60 to 70 degrees. You throw some ice in there, there's no circulating, hot bodies are getting into that. So that temperature is rising. So a lot of those are in, 50 to 55 degrees. And you want to find a temperature that you can start and that doesn't, for lack of a better term, burn you out. So again, you don't go to the gym and max out your first day. Find a temperature and just set with that. Go 55 and just build this consistency with it. Studies show benefits you are going to start seeing at 60 and below. So you want a temperature that's just going to get you the cue that I look for. It's going to take your breath away. So you want that moment of it's kind of your breath gets shallow, and you want that. That's a good thing that we're looking for. But find that one that's right there that doesn't. You naturally want to get out when you get in. That's great. But it doesn't scar you from showing up the next day to getting in. And you can build off of that. This is the long game. This is a forever practice that we're building. So understanding that the temp's naturally going to go down and there's no competition here, but finding that sweet spot, and we recommend right in that 50 to 60 degrees. So listen to your body. This is one of the biggest things that I think is it's just a natural progression when you get into cold water is we want to understand, how much time should I go for? How are this? No, we really want to be listening to our body. Your body is going to give you cues within this of how long you should be plunging. So we say set the timer. And what I mean, I say listen to your body, but set the timer first if you just want to know your time, but then forget about it. If you want to do, I'm doing 1 minute, set the timer, put it out of the way, and don't think about that anymore. The timer's there just to kind of track over time, but I actually like to count my plunges through breaths. More often than not, I have no timer going and I am focused on my breath. And that is the number one thing we want to be looking at. We're looking at body cues once we submerge into the water. First of the breath is our anchor. So we're coming back to that every single time. But we're also looking at cues within our body. Where are you holding tension? So this is more it's in a shower too. Wherever you're into it, naturally we want to tense up at spots where the water, where this body part's in and out of the water and meeting the part that's in the water. We're tense there. How can we relax and surrender into that? So on the breath front, we really, step 5, breathe. Our goal within the breath is to be getting to 5 to 8 breaths per minute. And in the breath, so an exercise that I like is getting in, and I actually like to if you're getting full submersion, I like to dunk my head first and come out. It's very paradoxical. It sounds like it's going to be harder. It's actually easier. You go extreme cold first, come back out. The warmer temperature outside kind of helps regulate that. Even if it's colder temperature outside, water is so much colder on the body. So you'll come back out. And then from that point in, try and do the exhale twice as long as the inhale with the goal of getting down to 5 to 8 breaths per minute. By lowering our breath to that level, we're going to start bringing down our heart rate variability and really our body is going to start in this extreme environment, recognizing that it's safe, and you're sending the signal. It's almost an override where your body wants to tell you, get out of here, fight or flight, all the things that are happening. But that's the beauty of this. Your breath is now dictating where your body's going to go, and you are having a new response to the adrenaline or the stress response that's happening to your body. So always, like I mentioned earlier, when you get in, you will lose your breath. And that's what we want. We want an environment where it's a shock to the system. You have to understand adrenaline is coming into the body. It's the fight or flight state. And that's good. That's what we want. But then the breath is what the tool that we're using to retrain the body and kind of resend the signal of lowering our heart rate and relaxing and surrendering into the experience. Step 6, move. So we've gone through our experience. Time is, it's a really a self-inquiry for yourself of finding that right time. A study showed 2 to 3 minutes is kind of that sweet spot for a cold plunge or cold exposure. But again, building your routine, don't worry about that time per se. Find the time that you're going to show back up and do again tomorrow. So we've gone through our experience now, whether it's 10 breaths to 5 minutes. Now we want to get back out. Our core body temperature has dropped. Our blood vessels have tightened up. Naturally we're protecting our vital organs in our body through this experience. We need to get the blood moving in our body. So immediately after three minutes after it, you're going to feel electric and you're going to feel incredible. That's awesome. But then at some point, you're going to want to move your body, and there's different ways to do it. For me at my house, I got a mini trampoline. They're cheap. You can buy them online. That's a great way to kind of get the blood flowing right back into the body, warm up. This picture here, he's doing horse stance. It's a breathing mechanism. You can YouTube it. Jump rope, push-ups, jumping jacks. These are all great ways to just kind of get the body moving again, to kind of help accelerate that raising our core body temperature up. Dr. Andrew Huberman has talked about this as well. If you're looking more for metabolism, then for metabolism boost, you might want to hold off on the movement after, but you will start to shiver and you will go through that shivering response. That's natural. It's that's your natural process of warming back up. It's going to take a lot more time. So if you don't want to be shivering 2 to 3 hours after, I recommend spending 3 to 5 minutes of just some sort of movement. Very simple, just using your body and get back into it and get the blood flowing through the body. So to recap, pick a time period that you're going to be accountable to. Put it out in the world. Establish a rhythm. Have a set time that you're going to be showing up every single day. Don't overcomplicate it. Find your ideal temperature. Don't be a hero your first few. Just find a good cold temperature that takes your breath away and build consistency off it. Setting the timer, and set the timer and forget. And then all the focus and the practice here is our breath. And there's a lot of different ways to focus on your breath, but I think starting out is really the inhale and the exhale. Exhale, focusing on twice as long as the inhale. And lastly, moving in your body. So getting started, what are your options? How can I do this? Option 1, cold shower, best entry point for every single person. Showers are, they're a lot harder than I think people even give them credit for. And one of the things with a shower is it's constantly hitting your body. Whereas if you get into some of the other options we talk about, the water's still and stagnant. So you naturally build a thermal layer around your body, where a shower, you don't get that. So what I recommend for the cold shower is hitting it right here, directly onto your chest, and doing 5 to 10 breaths, controlled breaths there. When you get that breath controlled, you can focus it on the crown of the head, and then you can rotate and get it right onto the neck, like right onto where the vagal nerve right back here, but basically your upper neck. It's another great spot that's going to be the most sensational on the body. Option 2 is, buying this is another great option. It's a little more work. You're going to get the full submersion, but you could buy a Rubbermaid tub at Home Depot, and you can have that forever. You can fit your whole body into it. You're going to have to buy ice and tap water, and the ice is going to be dictated upon what the temperature of is coming out of your hose. This is a great one if you're starting out and you want to just feel what the full body submersion looks like. It's the most cost effective. It's a great way to, if you live in a neighborhood with community members, bring them over, do it together. It's one of the greatest hacks of getting in and starting a routine is doing it with people. It's a lot more challenging if you're doing this solo, but this is a great one to bring someone in, have some, and get the full submersion in there. One thing to keep in mind on this one is, you could get a temperature gauge to understand where the temp's at, but you might not know exact temperature in there. And the water is stagnant. So it's something to think about, like wind chill. Wind chill is, the temperature is it feels a lot colder than it actually is. That's similar to, if you get into a river that's flowing down, that temperature is going to feel a lot colder than what's in maybe a trough that's stagnant. So a little hack here, and people might hate you, is when you're in there and after a minute or so, either yourself or have someone come in and move that water, and it's going to really break that natural thermal heat layer that our bodies create to kind of protect us in this situation. So I think the trough's a great one. It's just a little more work to have it consistently. It's not going to be, you can't keep the water in there forever. It's not going to stay clean. It's going to warm up. Option 3, chest freezer. So this is kind of the next phase if you're really looking to have a full submersion on-demand option. This will keep the water at the temperature that you want. I would recommend a couple safety measures with this one. Obviously these weren't built for people to be getting in them. They were built for food and storage of items. So you want to make sure this is unplugged before you're getting into this. And there's plenty of YouTube videos of how to create them. There is more work to this to make sure you do it correctly, that it doesn't leak on you. You have some sort of pump for water movement, so you don't get growth in there. And there's some sanitary aspects to this, but this is kind of that next phase up if you're looking for it, to have like cold water on demand, which is the biggest part here, is you can get your full body in and have it every single day. I would just say they're more challenging. I'm not the handiest person, so these are a little more like challenging for me to actually put the work in to get this done. But it's a great option, and they're out there. And option 4 is the plunge. This is kind of that next level of, if you're wanting something on demand, clean water whenever you want it. Obviously, there's a different price barrier with this one. But again, this is more of minimal maintenance, safety, and I think it looks pretty good. So any at-home option, we have different filtration that's in there. It's more of a plug and plunge setup. There's no, it's about 30 minutes of setup when you get it. So, it's not something you have to go to Home Depot and do all this stuff to put it in. It shows up out of the box and you can set it up. So it's really finding, again, this would be one. Some of our customers just jump right in and they haven't really built a practice and they're doing this. It's a bigger commitment, but some of the other ones are easier barrier, especially the cold showers or a trough to buy some ice and just feel what that looks like in your body. And are you going to be showing up and doing this daily? And this is more the option if you're actually looking to get serious about a consistent practice in your life. I share this review. This is why we do this. This is, building. We like to work with our customers, and anyone that comes on is like, we're into supporting them onto this journey. That's why I do this webinar, is like, how can I connect with people that even don't have a plunge to build and get them doing this? Because we know how valuable this practice is. But we try and make our journey at Plunge like as simple as possible. And it's not just about the unit, but we want to be supportive in the materials that you put out there. So anything on our website or our social, we try and open source and get as much information out there. But this is literally why we do this, is to be able to connect and build a practice, help people build a practice of getting into cold water. So Q&A, this is my favorite part. I wanted to get into actually the questions that you guys have and see how we can rock with those. Do you have to do progressive overload over time? Yep. So yes, it's a great question, Chuck. I liken it to working out. There will be a time that you need to change your workouts, and finding that starting point, 55 degrees, great starting point. 5 minutes, that's awesome. I'd even start lower on the first and kind of adjust into it. But there are ways to get dynamic with your plunging, and that's, the easiest one's lowering the temp. The moment you're kind of adapting to it, and there you will start to adapt. Your body will be, more resilient to what it's getting into. So you can lower the temperature. You can go longer. You can do intervals. You can get in, get out, maybe even go shorter at a colder temperature, get out, don't warm up, get back in, do 3 to 4 cycles of that. And maybe you're doing the same exact time period that you were before, but it's a little different shock on the system. So that's going to be something over time that you're really going to want to play with. And there is the, adaptation that takes place when getting in. How long does it take to get the effects of norepinephrine? Should I wait for the effects? It is taking longer to feel effects. Should I stay longer? So, norepinephrine is going to be that adrenaline dump that comes in, and you should get those. I mean, if you can get a sound ice bath is 2 minutes. You can get 2 minutes at a shocked, so especially from a point in that your body was shocked. But you're going to get those benefits at that. Like if you're not feeling it, I'd say as simple as possible, stay longer or lower your temperature. You probably don't have, if you're already staying in 2 to 3 minutes, it's probably a temperature thing. So you probably need to take that temperature down. And if you're getting in and it's not taking your breath away, then again, it's more often than not going to be a temperature issue than a length issue. But it will, when you do plunge, about 45 seconds in, you will start to have your body will start to calm down and relax into it. So I recommend people, if you can, get into that kind of 45 seconds to a minute, and your whole nervous system will calm down. You went through that spike, you're coming back down, and then ride it out for about 2 to 3 minutes. And that you should be getting the benefits that we're looking for here. Does box breathing have any effect during plunge? I've experimented with box breathing. I think I don't have an exact answer of like what that's doing, but I would say whatever breathing can just bring you more into your body. And what they mean by box breathing is more of like the length that you're going on an inhale, exhale, breath hold, and it's just like a repeat cycle. So, and that there's different lengths and methodologies out there into that. Yes, I like experimenting with that. The breath that I talked about with the inhale and the exhale being twice as long is a great entry point. Box breathing of, having a longer breath hold within there. Obviously we want to be safe and not really holding our breath too long. So that's be something that I would recommend kind of as you get into it a little bit more. But the real goal is, as we're shocked, is how do we bring our heart rate down? It's a real metric that we're looking at that's going to kind of give us a lot of data feedback to the body. So Whoop or a Ring, you can always use those to look at it, or you can just start to as you get more into it, you'll recognize when you start to calm down and the cues within the body. And there's a lot of different breathing methodologies to help that. Hawaii. Yes, Diane, we have a number of people out in Hawaii, and I can look, if you put in your email, I can get back to you on where a couple facilities we have in Hawaii that you can go check one out. And here we go. They're coming in. They're great. So we're going up to Chuck. Does it matter if feet, hands stay in the water? What about shoulders and back of neck? So the feet and the hands are going to be the most challenging spot. I'm sure a lot of you guys have figured that out. Most nerve endings in the body right there. For me, my feet are fine. I can put them in there. My hands, I don't keep them in the whole time, but I like to play with it. I like to go until I'm at my edge, and then I bring them back out and can I breathe through it. Ideally, if you can get them in, it's going to bring that core body temperature down quicker and faster by having them in. But again, it's managing your body and understanding what that is. Some people, their feet are that spot that's unbearable, and they kind of have to keep that out. But over time, you can start to play with it. And if you can focus in and keeping those in for maybe going a few extra breaths with them in, then pulling them back out and trying to not tense those regions. Naturally, we want to kind of like squeeze and hold it, but kind of surrendering that and trying to be as loose as possible in there. Highly recommend if you're going full submersion to get your neck and shoulders into it. It's a really important, I think, right up here on the back of your neck is a key spot to get in. So the more that you can get down into it and get that spot, that's going to send more signals to the body. And that's really going to, that's when you're getting that full submersion in kind of the whole body's being activated. Hold breath on entry or not. I like to step in on an exhale. And then what I like to do is I take the inhale and then I go under and actually hold my breath immediately for 2 to 5 seconds. And then I come back out and then I'm just trying to anchor in. But as I'm coming out from underneath the water, I do an exhale. So I like to step in on the exhale, but I always like to take a few good breaths prior to kind of clear myself. Like give myself this time, like if you want to set a little, an intention guiding in, a little mantra that you tell to yourself, doing that, a few breaths, and then exhale is when I like to step right in. How close can the filter side of the cold plunge be next to the wall? So on our website, you can look at the chiller is actually wider than the filter unit. So you have room to access that. You would need, back up. So really to change, the only thing you're really doing over there is changing that filter. And you want to be giving, if you can give 6 inches off the wall from where the chiller is, you'll have plenty of room to access the unit. If that's not an option, as long as the measurements that are on the website on our that are listed there, you have room for that, you will be able to access the filter housing. Hot and cold plunging. What is best after a workout? Timing and temps. Sorry. Best after. So cold plunging after a workout. It's kind of a hot subject. Because when we work out, we want that. Again, that's a stressor on the body. That inflammation allows our muscles to come back stronger. And so I've had a number of talks with different people on this. And I think if you are a high level bodybuilder or weightlifter that is looking for a maximal gains and you have a competition, I would hold off cold plunging immediately after your workout. You might stunt some of those gains that are happening. And I say might, this is unknown, but just kind of from like based off of theory, it seems that it's going to reduce that inflammation, which is important when we're working out. So if you can hold off for the more time after a workout is going to help there. But to me, this is a bigger, so we talked to Dr. Kelly Starrett, who's kind of the guru into recovery, had a long talk with him about this. And his words were, what are we doing this for? We're doing this to be healthier and we're doing this to be able to do it again tomorrow. So maybe by getting in the cold plunge after a workout, it's going to make sure that you're actually going to go work out tomorrow. And then you're going to do it the next day. And so you're playing the long game here. So I think it's the trade-off is worth not to worry too much of when you're cold plunging or when if you're impacting your workouts, if you're cold plunging right after. If you can, and that's really important, you probably want to gap it as much, like at least an hour, a couple hours after your workout, if you're going for those maximized gains right in that moment. But for me personally, like after long runs, there's nothing I like more than getting right into the plunge. And I can go longer. My core body temperature is already raised up. So it's a lot more, I can stay in a lot longer and I recover quicker. And so I can get back and work out tomorrow. And I'm not a pro athlete. I got, different responsibilities. So it just keeps me, in my opinion, functioning better. And what temperatures? Again, it's based off experience. Obviously, after you work out, your core body temperature is going to be higher. So you might want to lower that temp a little more than what you're normally doing at, or you're going to need to stay in longer to bring that down. So for me, if you can get into, I normally cold plunge around 46. If I'm going to work out, I like to bring it down a few degrees, 3 to 4 degrees, and be in that range. So just more of an adjustment of what your temperature your current temperature is of your body as you get into the water. What is the benefit for different temperatures? I know 50 to 60 is good for inflammation. What are the different benefits as you go lower? Man, I don't know if we really have that answer yet of what the exact temperatures are at the perfect time, and it really is going to depend on the person and the body they have. Body fat's going to be a factor, body type, and so it's going to vary for each person of what that temperature is. Like I said, there are studies out there. Wim Hof's site has these that are cited. 60 and below is actually having an impact on the body. But again, it's going to be based off your experience, how adapted your body is to this. And it's, go from there. So the core of this is we want to bring our core body temperature down to certain ranges. And so obviously if it's colder, it's going to do that quicker. And we want a temperature that's not going to take us to a point that we don't want to get back in tomorrow. And it was too extreme for us. Not from like a full-on safety standpoint, but just more of, it might take you hours to warm back up, which is just too much. So again, I think shorter answer is we don't know the exact times, and it's kind of it's a self-inquiry at this point for each body. Got that. Shame if I find it too cold for the cold enough temperatures. It's easy to say. Totally get it. Big bet. Cold showers, start there. Get in, just do that. And it's not easy. It is too cold, for all of us. It is cold, and the shower is a great option to do. And, if you're going to do your full submersion, I would look into a local Wim Hof workshop that happens. They put on them. You can get in. It's always a lot easier to do it with a group for your first time, doing that full submersion and getting that group energy to support you. That's a great place to start. Does time of day change the benefits experienced? Absolutely. So for me, waking up in the morning, my body's not really warmed up, less blood flow. I tend to find more challenging as the day goes and I warm up. It's a different experience for my body. It's also like what I've been doing prior. So, blood circulation in your body currently is going to impact the cold plunge. But I love first thing in the morning because it gives me that energy. It gives me that boost. I've also noticed, and this isn't backed by any science, so this is more anecdotal, is that cold plunging kind of meets you where you're at during your day. So there's been this kind of, in my opinion, it's a bit of a myth that if you cold plunge, it's an energy booster. So you can't cold plunge before bed. And I think what I've seen, and this is from number of people that have really wrote into us, asked around about it, is some people just need to cool their body down before bed. And so by getting in the cold plunge, it doesn't really give them this energy. It actually brings their core body temperature down and they sleep a lot better. So again, afternoon, sometimes a midday nap's great. Sometimes we don't have time for that 20 to 30 minute nap, but we do have time for 2 minutes to go get cold, go get in there, kind of brings your body back to life and sustained throughout the day. So time of day is more of just the outward experience that I feel from it. So I think it does matter. How often does the water need to be replaced or changed? So with the plunge, if it's at your house and it's just you and your family using it, maybe your spouse or a kid, for my house, I haven't changed my water in 7 months on my plunge. I have to put in a little water every 2 months into it because, evaporation takes place. And that's with very minimal maintenance. I change the filters about once a month on it. We have a maintenance protocol of little product we put in once a week. So it's for that 7 months. If you have a commercial facility, it's totally different. It's based on the numbers that you're going in there, how people are entering into the plunge. Are they showering prior? Is it a private room? So commercial facilities, we recommend, we kind of come up with a personalized structure plan of how many people you think are going to be using it, but we recommend about once a week to be draining that and refilling it. But if it's at a residential unit, you can really go, depending on how you maintain that, 4 to months on end. Totally. Chuck, you can have, when in cold water, you can have skin change color. I don't know the mechanism of why that is, but you definitely, yeah, it can get, I've seen people get flush. I've seen people get pale. I'm sure there's a wide number of reasons to that, but I don't quite have the full answer of what's behind that. I can't do cold showers because it's only partially hitting you, but I think I may do better in full. I agree. I think there's a couple of things to cold showers that I think are, everyone thinks getting in the ice bath so much more challenging than the cold shower. The cold shower has a couple mechanisms. First, you can turn it hot whenever you want. So having that option is a real thing. It is also consistently hitting your body. So you never really get to adapt and surrender into it. So in an ice bath or in a plunge, you actually get to relax into the experience and breathe into it. While in a shower, you're still standing up. You got gravity fighting against you. Those are challenging factors into it. I find getting into depending the temp, obviously if it's 39 degrees compared to a shower, a plunge it's pretty intense. But finding that right temperature of 55 degrees and getting fully submerged, some people do find it to be easier. And you can kind of breathe into it and control the experience a little bit more. So yes, I think that is, if you can get full submersion and try that out, I would recommend doing that. And give yourself credit for the showers. They're not walks in the park at all. Inside versus outside installation, it can go both places. We built the plunge, designed it that it is accessible for inside, outside. It's durable, comes with an all-weather spa style cover. It's a acrylic tub, has a protection layer around all the piping. And, we recommend as much as you can to have it covered from elements. But, obviously not packing 10 feet of snow around it. That's going to have an impact on it, but it can go inside or outside. Inside, a couple factors to think about is if you do need to drain it, do you have a drain nearby? Or you could always buy a submersible pump. Really, you can get those on Amazon. And you put that pump in, hook it up to a hose, and you can direct it, and it drains in 8 minutes really quick. It has a drain valve on the side that you can hook up to a hose. That can take a little while longer due to gravity. But, inside you want to think about making sure the area can get a little wet around it. There will be a little splashing. Some first timer gets in. It's kind of intense. Water overfills a bit. Outside, obviously, it's a lot easier to get wet in those areas, but you want to be mindful of the elements. Is it in complete direct sunlight? Because that direct sunlight's going to raise the temp a bit. The chiller is obviously going to work, but that chiller is going to be working a little bit more. Is it going to be around snow all the time? So just things that you want to think about of just kind of the longevity of the unit. Got any more coming down? Are cold plunges recommended safe for young athletes? I haven't seen anything that says that they're not. And they're going to know their bodies. So part of that, it might be a time. They have different body types at that age. So it's been one of the coolest things that we've seen with families that have plunges. This is becoming this new thing that fathers do with daughters, or moms are doing with sons. It's just this new kind of family thing that's yeah, we go do a cold plunge together, and that's our thing, as opposed to we were watching TV. That's kind of our family every week on this time is the thing. So it's seen a lot of kids doing it, and I haven't seen anything saying that it's unsafe for kids at that age. And being around supervision, can the kids swim? 13 to 20 should be in that category, but for their bodies itself, they're safe doing it. Cycling injury damaged Nerve heat therapy has helped. I wonder if cold has benefits for nerve recovery. Don't know for specific injuries. Every body responds a little differently, but we've had a number of people that have severe back pain, which are some nerve injuries as well, nerve damage, and they've had huge success with this. So I would recommend more full submersion if you're going for this than the showers. You're probably not going to see quite the benefits that you're going to be looking for this injury on a shower, but getting fully submerged in there on a consistent basis is probably going to have help in that region. Yeah. So I think you will see some benefits. How do you keep it safe and avoid heart? So I'm not fully aware what that is, and I don't know. One thing we do, if it has anything related to the heart, it's going to increase your heart rate, and that is one of the areas, if you have heart conditions, to be mindful of. And that's probably starting at a higher temperature to start, and maybe getting used to your breath a little bit before you will go and do your first cold plunge. So there's plenty of great apps out there. It's Othership, Wim Hof's app, Headspace, just to start to get associated with your breath. And why I bring that up is as you get in there and your heart, it might have some, it's going to be impacting on your body, is you can control your breath a little bit quicker. But I would really start at that higher temperature before you step into that. Obviously consult your doctor. I'm not exactly sure what this diagnosis is, but yeah, it's for anyone with heart conditions, that is one thing to be mindful of before getting into a cold plunge. Struggle with how deep to go. First hands down versus moving temp down. Is there a progression from sitting up in the plunge and then best progressions from there? If you have a plunge or you have full submersion opportunity, getting your whole body in, I think, is important. And getting, like I said, getting into that neck, getting the upper chest region in, that's your best bang for your buck. That's going to be the most impactful on the overall body. And then the hands and the feet, that's more of, if you can get them all in, go for it. If you need some time, like I said, my hands are still, I've been doing this a really long time. And for whatever reason, it's really challenging for me. So I have to cycle them in and out, and I kind of play with it. My feet are fine. So again, it's listening to your body and to what that is. If you can do it all, I recommend doing it all. But everyone's a little different from injuries we've had or, inflammation in those areas. So it's going to take kind of a figuring out to your specific situation. Yep. You can connect this with a quality extension cord, fill a tub with the hose, depending on the water flow, I would say 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Every plunge gets a carbon hose filter. So we give you a hose filter to hook on, and any standard plunge is going to take, or any standard hose, about 10 to 20 minutes, and it'll be filled up. Assume your better one will cool the water. How long? Yep. So we have our Pro chiller and our standard chiller. And the difference there is one's a quarter horsepower and one's a full horsepower. They both get down to the same exact temperature. One cools the water quicker. The standard chills at about 2 to 3 degrees an hour, where the Pro can get anywhere from 7 to up to 9 degrees an hour. And that's really just on the initial chilling period. When you initially fill up your plunge, it takes that time. So you want to plan for that accordingly. But once it's in the zone, you have a zone that you can create on the chiller of kind of every 2 degrees. If it goes up 2 degrees, it'll just bring it back down. So the Pro is a great option for commercial facilities. If you're going to have a number of bodies getting in, hot bodies, high temperatures, getting into the water, it's going to raise that up. It's going to cool the water and maintain it at that temp that you want. If you have the unit in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer, straight with the sun shining on it, the Pro might be the option there. But the standard works for most of our residential situations. If it's just you and one other person getting in, even multiple people. But the Pro is more for higher volume of people that are going to be getting in the water. Yep, we sell and ship to Ottawa, Canada. We all over Canada. It's a little extra on the shipping fee to Canada, but we ship in. Absolutely. Do you have to do progressive overload? Yep, we discussed that. So again, you're going to need to adapt your plunging work regimen over time, and that's just each person. And there's different ways to do it. With more of an active cycle of getting in, getting out, you can mess with your breath and how the inhales and the exhales. You can obviously adjust the temperature, adjust the time of day. These are all things that you can play with over time that are going to impact how your body adapts and responds to the cold. What is the benefit of different temperatures? I know 50 to 60 is good. Yep, that was the one I mentioned. Not quite sure on the exact. I don't think we have that answer of the specific temperatures that are going to meet different periods. The colder you're in, the quicker your body's going to cool down. I think the resilience, the colder it gets, it's a different mental fortitude, which I think there's a lot going on there that we can't quite quantify. But I don't know if we have the exact temperatures of what we're hitting at certain points, but it's something we can look into as we work with some of these different doctors doing research. What about inside uses, especially in cold weather? I'm in northern, which has its at least moderate winters. Yeah, so we have, for our really cold environments, we recommend our hot and cold unit. And that's more that you can up-regulate the temperature, especially if you're putting it outside in freezing conditions. So the concern there is not how cold it's going to get, but can I actually plunge at 48 degrees or 52 degrees when it's 25 degrees outside? And that in our hot and cold unit can fluctuate. You can actually turn into a hot tub. So you could take it up to 103 if you want to. Yeah, it's, the cold weather outside, we recommend it not being fully exposed, not, where it's just surrounded by snow. Like we had a great test case of Austin. Last 2 years, Austin's had these wild freezing spells come through that weren't really expected. No one had heating units in those regions. When it got to the extended, I think we were on last year, day 4, day 5 of the freeze spell, we had everyone just drain the unit. All the units came back to life. So everything, that was an interesting test case for us, that it did work in freezing conditions over periods of time. But we highly recommend our hot and cold unit for people that are going to be putting it outside in those East Coast type conditions. Yep, we will have a recording. This exact recording will be out for 72 hours. The discount will be running until Friday. So yes, we will have a recording. Dustin, I think we'll just email a link out.
Yes. It'll be emailed out in about 2 hours or less.
Awesome. So any plans to use a different style tub in the future? I'm thinking like a taller cedar. We don't have different styles. We've kind of discussed it internally, but as of now, we did just launch our XL unit, so it's a lot bigger unit. We have some new products we're going to be launching soon. Sauna, it's coming out this summer, which will be more obviously in that wood category, but an actual plunge is the style and the look that you see, what we'll have. Can you winterize the tub and not use it for a couple months? Absolutely. If you're going to winterize it, I recommend just draining it, letting it go, and then you can let the unit sit for however long you want and turn it back on. The unit does run 24/7 in its natural state, and that's just assuring that it's constantly filtering and staying cold. The chiller only works when it starts to heat up, which is most of the power supply, so it's not a huge impact on the power bill. Awesome, guys.